Hey, nerdy sports fan, we're talking week 14 NFL action and the first week of the fantasy football playoffs. Let's get into this matchup. We've got the Steelers going to see the Cardinals. The Steelers are a culture-driven team. They have been a tough-nosed, well-coached team the entire time I can remember. They've only had 4 head coaches in forever, okay? So this is a model franchise for the league. And they're going up against the Arizona Cardinals, which are the exact opposite of that. But the Cardinals have their shiny new toy. All right, they've got the quarterback of the future down there, and they've got an offense built around him. So they're really dangerous. Both teams are dangerous for different reasons. The Steelers' reason is not talent-laden. It's culture, it's coaching, and they're in the playoffs. And the Cardinals are young and exciting and talented and not in the playoffs. So, well, the Steelers aren't. They hold the final playoff seat. It's going to be interesting. The Titans and the Colts can make this very interesting. So, right now, the Steelers have a loose grip on that last playoff position. This is the kind of game you need to tighten that grip. And I think they will. Hodges, yeah, nothing spectacular, but him and James Washington have a thing. And yeah, I get it, okay? James Washington hasn't been anything you can consistently rely on at any point in this season. All of a sudden, Hodges comes in and he's making all these circus catches, and you say, well, that can't continue. Well, you're wrong, okay? The reason lower-ranked wide receivers do good when rookie and backup or third-string quarterbacks go in is because that's who they're practicing with, okay? This is not rocket science. The third, fourth target on the list for the starting quarterback is the number 1 best target that the third string quarterback gets to work with. That's it. If he ever gets any practice time, it's going to be with the other bottom feeders on the roster. So yeah, maybe he doesn't have great rapport with Juju Smith-Schuster, but he does have great rapport with James Washington. He knows where the guy's going to be because that's the only chance he's had in practice. So I think Washington is a great fantasy football ad for the playoffs, especially in this matchup because the Cardinals' defense is kind of crap. And this is the kind of play you make. All right, wide receiver 3, wide receiver 2. You don't necessarily like the matchup your guy has. Take a flyer on a guy like Washington. He could very legitimately put up some decent points, well over what you would expect him to, because of the matchup and because of his situation with Hodges being the quarterback. So I really like that. James Conner's been dealing with injury of late. Juju Smith-Schuster dealing with injury. Probably not going to go. Honestly, keep an eye on it, okay? Keep an eye on it. Juju and James Conner, they've not been, able to produce really at the level they need to this season, mostly because of quarterback issues, but now because of injury. So, not a lot to do start-wise for the Pittsburgh offense, except for if you want to take a gamble on James Washington. As far as the Cardinals go, Kyler Murray he's a gamble too, but he's at this point almost a guaranteed start. He's a top 10 QB every week fantasy football-wise because he runs. Running quarterbacks do well because rushing yards are scored differently than passing yards. So a quarterback that has wheels on him can score multiple different ways, running the ball himself or throwing it. So he's, especially in a red zone situation, much more likely to be the guy who gets the touchdown than the running back is. So, yeah, that's why you put in running quarterbacks. Fantasy football-wise, they're great. So Kyler Murray needs to start still, even though he's going up against a great defense in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's defense needs to be started. Absolutely needs to be started. They're going to create turnovers. Wide receivers for the Cardinals are feast or famine kind of guys. I love Christian Kirk. He gets a lot of targets, and some weeks he blows up and turns a couple of those targets into touchdowns. So Christian Kirk is another one of those guys that you're throwing in there really just because of the playoffs. Because the matchup just might be exactly what he needs it to be, regardless of it being a very good defense. As far as the line goes, the Steelers are 2.5-point favorites. That's about right. It's going to be a close game. The Steelers are likely to win it. They're just a better overall roster and better coached. But Arizona has better talent in premier positions. So Kyler Murray can keep things close. I think the line is too good for me to touch this with my money. If I had to bet a team, it would be the Cardinals. Because I like betting on flashy offenses. That's really it. They're funner to root for. But either way, hit up the rest of the videos I have for more fantasy football advice. Check out the fantasy football playoff primer as well as the updated power rankings.